A worker with severe obesity created problems for my business. She said she was fat because of the disease, but it turned out that the confusing story of the owner of the celebration company. I know it's really strange, and, I admit, I don't really understand how I should act now/what rights I have as an employer in this case. I am the owner of a small business for organizing celebrations. I have 15 employees, and I rent a small office in a building where 4 more companies in adjacent areas. The owners of businesses in this building bought it back in 2005, because they originally intended to work together, and it bore fruit. In 2010, I hired a woman, let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a great person. For many years she worked for me without any problems. It is worth saying that Sarah was never skinny when I hired her. It seems to me that her weight was about 100 kilograms, but until 2016 it did not cause any inconvenience. At the end of 2013, Sarah went through a disgusting divorce process, but in 2014 she met a great guy, and we were all very happy for her. She was always quite a secretive person, but she kept talking about him in the office, and in mid-2015 they got married. In early 2016, Sarah told me that the doctor diagnosed her with health problems. She became fuller and fuller every day. I never insisted that she said what was with her, because her health insurance is not paid by my company, it is inscribed in her new husband's insurance, and because the health problems of my employees are not my business, I assumed that she had some problems with the thyroid, because something similar happened to my mother when she was about Sarah's age. Sarah was gaining and gaining weight. You need to climb the steps from the main entrance to our office, and when Sarah could no longer really climb the stairs, I paid for the repair of the elevator, which only our company needs. We have an old building with a terrible ancient elevator to help her get to 2016. I also bought her a special chair for her weight, a larger table, and was more loyal to her sick leave, because I was convinced that this was a medical condition, and she was such a good worker all these years. As a good employer, I wanted to make adaptations to facilitate what I considered shameful medical problem. She did ask to update the elevator and chair, but I offered to buy a table and a few extra paid days off when she said she felt bad, and now everything is getting a little crazy. It's time to mention that I'm part of our local community of perverts. None of my employees knows this, because it concerns my reputation, and my husband and I keep it a secret. Recently, I groped through one of the sites with a certain topic and came across the profile of a person in whom I immediately recognized Sarah. She and her husband have a profile with many photos up to 2016, where they talk about how they are engaged in fetishism. Sarah doesn't have a medical condition. And now I'm furious because I spent $9.200 on her Trix elevator, chair, table, and I also lost $500, thinking that this woman was sick. Although she did everything intentionally, she just lied to me all this time. What can I do? Can I fire Sarah? I can't even look at her if I fire her, but can she file a complaint for dismissal due to disability? Can I report this as a fraud? Should I sue her? We have a corporate lawyer, however, he is on vacation for the next 2 weeks. His partner said that he can look at this case for me, but he is full of work and said that he would not be able to do it until our full-time lawyer returns. But for now I am thinking of sending her on paid leave so that I do not have to pretend that nothing happened in the next 2 weeks. I was offered to reveal Sarah, for example, secretly. It's not even discussed. I won't do it, so please stop offering it. Last night my husband found something, so I spent 2.5 hours talking on Skype with my lawyer. He's on vacation, but God bless his heart. So that's it. I also want to thank everyone who commented on my post and guided me to the true path. To wait for my lawyer let everything turn out differently. Most of you were really kind and informative. And that's what happened over the weekend. Many people told me that the best way in this situation would be to combine the days when she was sick and the days of her photo shoots, so I took all my documents home and started the process. At some point it exhausted me so emotionally that I burst into tears, and my husband offered to replace me. He volunteered to combine everything he already knew about what was happening, because he was with me when I found a photo of Sarah and her husband on the internet. I took a bunch of screenshots, but during the selection I avoided looking at the photos because of the mixture of awkwardness and anger, focusing more on dates. However, at some point my husband called me and asked me to look at a certain set of photos. Due to the specifics of our sphere, our office has a large storage room where we store props. One of her photo shoots was done in this pantry. By dates it's our weekend, and the title reads, "Oh, this work." But not exactly. I'll explain how this is possible. The fact is that our building is not locked with a key, we just need to enter a PIN code. All my employees know this code, and there is nothing unusual in the fact that some employees come to the office on weekends, for example, to work or pick up something they forgot. I saved all the dates, and also looked at the history of entering the PIN code. Yes, she entered it the day before the photos were published on the site. It's a shame to admit, but at that moment I was so angry that I just shouted at the screen. I calmed down for a few hours, and then called the lawyer on a personal number, because he told me to call him if something urgent happened. He picked up the phone, I briefly described what happened, and he told me to give him half an hour to finish lunch, and then he would call me back right away. I posted all the cards to him. He tactfully avoided a direct question about how I found the profile, except, "Did someone send it to you? Were you deliberately looking for it or just stumbled on the network?" It was nice of him. I asked what we could do. The lawyer replied that we have every reason to fire her, without worrying about the fact that she would challenge this decision. They say, it is due to her weight gain. According to him, the best solution would be if on Monday there would be a security guard at the door, who will accompany her to the desk, where Sarah will be waiting for her collected things and the official dismissal order. And then he suggested something I didn't even think about. The pantry in which the photo shoot was held needs professional cleaning. They used bedding, but still, and the cost of cleaning should be charged from Sarah. You also need to send a request to delete that album of photos, since 2 of them you can clearly see the logo of my company. He told me that it was not possible to compensate for all the conditions that I created for it, because I did not request a disability certificate, but at that time it was enough for me to collect the cost of cleaning and get rid of Sarah. The lawyer told me that he would consult with a couple of his friends again, because he had not even come close to such a thing. I told him that I trusted him, and I was sorry that I had to tell him all this and show him. He even joked that one day this case would be studied at law faculties, and that if something related to this case happens before his return, I can call him. As for me, I'm going to take 3 days off after I fire Sarah. I needed to rethink what happened and come to my senses, and then I'm going to install a full-fledged video surveillance system throughout the office, also submit a request to the HR department to find someone to replace Sarah. I'm glad to say that Sarah's dismissal passed without any problems. On Monday, I came to work early to carefully collect and pack all of Sarah's things. She had a lot of trinkets. I deactivated her access to the office, deleted all her access to work mails and systems, removed her name from all official documents. She is no longer listed as an employee. After all, I called security and sat down to wait for Sarah to come to work. I gave her a dismissal order last night. It was checked and corrected by a lawyer, and the security guard handed her a box with her things. She opened the envelope with the order and quickly ran her eyes over it, but the blood flowed from her face when she saw the date I indicated as the moment of misuse of company property. I don't want to quote the letter for privacy reasons, but I said that she would receive her salary by mail, but I will have to deduct $200 for professional floor cleaning. I also added that all video and photo materials with the image or mention of the company, as well as my company's property, must be removed from any online or offline media within 3 days, or I will go to court. At that moment, Sarah started crying, and it broke my heart. She didn't argue, she didn't say anything at all, but just took a box of things and returned to her car, sobbing. No difficulties. I went back inside the office and told everyone the news that Sarah was caught improperly using the company's property, so we had to say goodbye to her, and that a new video surveillance system would be installed soon. Already on Friday, everyone was very surprised, but I asked everyone to refrain from discussing the situation, as this is confidential employee information, so everyone agreed. Many just wanted to make sure that I was okay, because apparently I didn't look very good. I did take 3 days off, and now I'm at home with my husband and our dog. I checked that site and her profile. Already on Monday evening that photoset was deleted. Someone suggested me to disable my account for a while, which I did since I don't use it often anyway. I cried a lot for the last couple of days, and now my anger has almost faded. In general, I still feel terrible because of everything, but I hope that over time it will pass. Unfortunately, at that moment I sincerely wished it all to end. I was so stunned and dried up by what happened. It was useful to write all this here. and I know that you like to know the ending of the stories, so I hope no one will mind. On Saturday, Sarah's husband appeared near our building after dark. He broke through the front door and tried to get into the office, but at that moment the police drove up and arrested him. Fortunately, at that moment there was a cleaner upstairs, who heard him opening the lock in the main entrance, so she hid and called the police. According to the police, Sarah's husband brought a canister of gasoline with him, and they think he intended to set fire, revenge for Sarah's dismissal. They didn't say much except for some basic facts, but as I understood and then the cleaner told me, he went crazy when he saw the police, started shouting all sorts of obscenities. I was called from the police and forced to come to the station and tell my whole story. It was terrible and frankly very embarrassing. They said that an indictment would be brought in which I would not participate and then most likely a court in which I may have to participate before we find out what will happen to him, but that they will keep me informed as the case progresses when they can, for example, whether he will be released on bail, etc. The police bring several charges against Sarah's husband: break-in and infiltration, attempted arson, apparently assault on an officer and several others, but my husband said that we could probably file for damages, a broken door. I also held an emergency meeting for all the owners of the buildings/businesses and informed them about what had happened, only basic information about Sarah's dismissal, no details, and our business offered to hire a night security guard for the near future, which, in their opinion, would be prudent. I feel really terrible because it now affects them. All of them could have lost their livelihood. They were very kind, but I still felt like shit. I sent all the information on the case to the lawyer, but I haven't received an answer yet, because he's still on vacation. We still haven't heard anything from Sarah, and all her social media accounts were deleted. She didn't block us. We checked through other accounts, and she had no reason to block us, as well as her account on that site, all the photos too. Admittedly, I have no idea whether she knew about her husband's intentions or not. Sarah's husband was on trial for attempting to set fire. It seems that during the time he was in custody, he was a little damaged in his mind, and we also found out that Sarah had no idea what he was going to do. He just said he was going to take away food and left. Now he is being sent to prison, so you cannot worry about him for a while. My lawyer said that there was no need to tell all the details in court, and, given that Sarah did not know about the arson, I decided not to tell the whole background when I testified. Basically, it all came down to the fact that I fired his wife for being in the office after a working day for personal use without permission. I just didn't have the courage to ruin someone's life with words that would be recorded. Sarah's husband didn't say anything. He generally behaved quietly and meekly in court. I think his lawyer told him to behave like this. My building updated the security system. All the other owners were so nice that they also contributed. Me and another female owner who was grateful that our business did not burn down followed the user's advice and hired a cleaner for half a day, but instead took her to lunch, then to the spa, after which they handed her a fee for worked hours. She is a very nice woman, someone we don't know who, since it wasn't us called the family after the incident, called Sarah's family. It turned out that she was gradually moving away from them for some time. According to rumors, her parents came to pick her up a couple of days after what happened to her husband, and they lived 12 hours away. They stayed long enough to get police permission to leave the province, packed her things and went with her. I have no idea where she is now and what she is doing. I began to go to the therapist more often, because I was very worried about the court proceedings, but now everything is fine. My husband is my superhero throughout the process. It did not leak into the media, as you assumed, and what I was afraid of, but the employees clearly added 2 + 2 and understood what to what, but no one said a word to me. Everything ended without any explosions, and I'm grateful for that. My business is perfectly fine. I'm fine, everything is fine. After all the worries associated with Sarah's dismissal, I realized how important it is to control the situation in the business and take care of the safety of my employees. After the incident with Sarah's husband, we decided to strengthen security measures in the office. We installed video surveillance not only in the main premises, but also at the exits and entrances. I also organized training for employees on workplace safety so that everyone knows how to behave in emergency situations. Since Sarah left the company, I began to pay more attention to the mental and physical condition of other employees. We introduced weekly meetings where the group discussed their thoughts and feelings. This allowed everyone to openly share their experiences. inspiring each other to cope with stress and difficulties. I continued to consult with the lawyer regarding the consequences of Sarah's dismissal and her husband's actions. He advised me to be prepared for possible consequences and protect my company from any lawsuits or reputational risks. I tried to keep my finger on the pulse to prepare for a possible legal struggle. Despite the difficult times, I focused on creating a healthy and supportive atmosphere in the office. I organized corporate events, rest and just time so that the team could rally. It helped us become a more united whole and improved the work. I continued to visit my therapist so as not to dwell on what had happened and to work out my fears and worries. It actually helped me a lot to recover and stay focused on business. In general, this story taught me a lot. I became more attentive to both personal boundaries and professional norms. I will always remember how important it is to choose employees based not only on their skills, but also on their ethical norms and values. Now our business is going uphill, and our team is stronger than ever. Despite the unpleasant experience, this option has led us to greater unity and understanding. I hope that in the future such incidents can only be remembered with a smile.